One question, ladies and gentlemen. How are you going to celebrate Chelsea winning the Champions League this season? Hot dog, we've scored a ruddy goal. Welcome back to Football Therapy. With me, your host, Jan, your post-match presser. Welcome back. Hold on. To the press conference room for Chelsea's 1-0 win. And to win, you have to score a goal. So, spoiler, oh yes, dear sweet viewer, Chelsea have scored a goal. We've scored the goal. Let's get the microphones up. Come on, guys. With the press. All right. This is just a 1-0 home win against Leeds. But we hate Leeds. They're dirty Leeds. There's a rivalry there, and we need a build-up somewhere. And yeah, okay, that'll do. So we're going to talk about this game and why it was turgid and difficult at sometimes, but also promising. Of course, the goal coming from my boy, Wesley Fofana, mon garçon, mon gars, mon ami, hein? Mon frère, frérot. If you know me and you know this channel, you'll know I'm a bit of a Wesley Fofana super fan. And always have been. Towering header. Yes. It's worth mentioning this goal that we finally scored was from a defender, a centre-back no less, on a set piece. But if you're pleased for Wesley Fofana, drop a like on the video. And it supports me, the content creator. And you're welcome to subscribe as well. Right, so let's talk about this game. Graham Potter played a free-back system, and I get it. It also kind of like... I don't say reeked of desperation, but like you get it, don't you? Like you understand why it looked a bit desperate, but you kind of understand why he went with it. He went with Kepa in goal, of course. The back three of Koulibaly in the middle, flanked by Wes Fofana and Benoit Badiashile. Wing backs were Ben Chilwell, who was pretty darn good on the day. Our first choice wing backs in Chilwell and James are very good. He got the assist for the goal, of course, on the corner as well. You had Ruben Loftus-Cheek, the ultimate utility man, playing at right wing back and doing a pretty decent job. Probably didn't see as much, demonstrated in moments what he can do. We'll talk about player performances in a moment. And then we had the double pivot of Enzo Fernandez and Kovacic, of course, both being able to speak Spanish. They can communicate with each other, not that they'll need to have too much discussion. We had Sterling, Havertz, and Felix front three. It was kind of oddly so I don't understand, maybe this was sort of a bit of an asymmetrical shape going on, but it was really a bit of a sort of Felix, Havertz strike partnership. Now, I don't know if that's because Felix still has kind of a free role, so he just joined Havertz up there a lot. And then you had Sterling. And obviously we got the goal in the 53rd minute in the second half from a corner. Okay, so we started this game really well. We nearly scored what would only has to be seen as one of the goals of the season, where I think it was Enzo, Sterling, and then João Felix combining sort of a side foot volley hitting the crossbar. That would have been absolutely chef's kiss. It kind of is conducive to our luck. Well, it's testament rather to our luck this season that doesn't go in. And in the opening 30 minutes, we probably should have scored one or two goals. And then in the dying embers of that half, we looked boring and turgid to the point where the Chelsea fans in Stamford Bridge were upset at halftime. Now, important case study, right? This is important evidence of an issue at Chelsea. Good players, good combinations, starting games like, right, this is what we're doing, let's do it. And then they don't score goals. And then because they don't score goals, when they have chances, it's important to note, they have chances, they don't convert. And then they kind of like revert to type, like, oh, Maybe this is the narrative, and maybe we're not the better imposing team that scores goals. Their belief is gone. They're like the opposite of Real Madrid. And I know Real Madrid seems like an extreme example, but they can be like old and they can't run, and, you know, the high-octane opposition like Liverpool, they'll go 2-0 down to Liverpool in the Champions League, but then they'll like beat them 5-2 at Anfield afterwards, because they just don't panic. They're literally the opposite. So in that first period where Real Madrid were 2 down to Liverpool, you know, they were like, ain't no thing. Chelsea are like, in that same period, we're not 2-0 up, but we create chances, don't score them, and then they lose the confidence. It's almost like an aura thing, you know? Like that game against Dortmund, we were so much better than Dortmund. If they can summon that again for when we play them, then, you know, we have a chance of going through against Dortmund. But that's what I think happens. I feel like they just sort of start really well, they know what they're doing, they don't convert the chances, and they go, oh crap. And because they don't convert the chances, not only do their confidence drops and perhaps the collective idea drops, it obviously lets the opposition in, both literally and psychologically as well, because they still think they're in a chance. Had Chelsea scored 2 goals in the opening 20 minutes, it changes the game on every landscape, every level, whether it be like tactical, morale, physical, like, you know, all these kind of elements that are important to note. Yeah, so that's what I think happens. But we got the goal through a Wesley Fofana header, and I'm very, very happy for him. He's excellent. He's looked good since coming back, and we need him, especially now, you know, Thiago Silva's out for 6 weeks, and, you know, we might have to play Koulibaly in the middle, and without Thiago Silva, you know, relying on this 38-year-old, we probably will turn to a back 3 more. Whether we do that against Dortmund, that'll be a big roll of the dice because of how well we played with a back 4 against Dortmund, but that's a whole nother video. Look, I know it's boring, but, like, I find it quite reductionist, but there is truth to the fact how a centre forward, like a conventional centre forward in that area, would you know, there was a moment where Havertz could have got his head to a ball, and he didn't even need to do a Robin van Persie Superman header. He just needed to be a bit more of a 9, and he would have scored early doors in the first half. And we just don't have that. I did an Instagram live at halftime, which I do sometimes. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but if you want to follow me on social media, it's at FootballYannick on Instagram. I do like live streams on there, so feel free to follow me on Instagram. I should have it like on here somewhere, but I don't. Anyway, is it? Wait, hold on. Is it on the like and sub? I don't think it is. No, I used to have something like that. This is FootballYannick and tells you how to. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Strikers. So we're playing Felix and Havertz up there, and I was joking on my Instagram live, like, in theory it's like, of course we've got Detro, Fofana and Aubameyang, but in theory it's like, no, we've got these 2 really like mercurial, talented sort of number 10 / second striker false 9 players, and in theory it's going to be really good because they're like going to float around and, you know, in the half spaces, and the opposition are just not going to know what they're going to do, you know, or they won't be able to pick them up, and, you know, they'll be unpredictable. And I joked saying, yes, they'll be unpredictable because they won't be in the positions to score goals where where defenders expect them to be. Okay, well, fine. Fine. You know, you do that and not score goals, and we're fine with that. So, yeah, it's tough. Look, I will die on the hill of thinking Kai Havertz is a very talented player. That this hill is not recommending him to stay at Chelsea forever, nor does this hill state that he will find a place at Chelsea to demonstrate his really great amount of talent. Perhaps João Felix has more of a chance for doing that because he will be prioritised as this floaty attacking creative player with license. So, yeah, and he looks like he can combine well. He does these sort of like little back heel 1 touches with Enzo. So let's talk about player performances while we're still going. I think Kepa was fine. Not his best game, but he kept a clean sheet. Generally pleased with the defenders. And to be honest, bro, like, our defence is fine and has been fine for a long time. We'd concede wet goals and silly goals and soft goals. But that happens when your confidence is low. But structurally and general performance-wise, we've fine. And in this game, obviously very pleasing to see Wes Fofana get the goal. Koulibaly was fine in the middle, made a notably good recovery. In terms of wing-backs, Ruben does what he often does and demonstrates exciting ability early doors in the game. He'll get the ball, he'll do a give and go, he'll carry it well, he'll hold it up while travelling with the ball well, and looks like he could be a really good physical outlet. I don't know if he gets gassed out in games or if he just disappears psychologically, but he's just a great utility man. Like, that sounds like a dig on him, but it's not. It's actually a great thing. Like, he's played in massive games and played well in different positions. It's just not necessarily you turn to him for one position constantly, but I would like him to stay just as this really reliable utility guy. I think Chilwell was very good. He makes those inside forward runs like a striker, like Alonso did. Our best centre forwards for the last few years have been our left wing backs. Don't ask me why. It's just apparently what happens at Chelsea. The midfield, Enzo was fine. Not his best game, but good. I thought he combined well. Kovacic, who wore the armband on the day, rather interestingly, was also fine. When you're playing a double pivot like that, and you've got three centre-backs behind you defending well, and the ball does go back there sometimes, you kind of judge them on how well they're doing to get forwards, and Enzo was alright. I mean, neither of them was spectacular, but they were good enough for me. The front three, I actually think Sterling was good. He won a few fouls, even if he was a bit ponderous at times in the first half. He was seeing the ball. He's been one of our better performers since he's returned. Sterling scores goals when the team is scoring goals. He's not gonna Eden Hazard you out of a stinky position. It's just not his vibe. But he's a very good player, and he was good in this game. João Felix nearly scored an absolute worldie. Should he had scored that, we'd be singing his praises. I think it was all right though. He was fine. Again, not his best game, but he is obviously a great player and combines well and is always available for the ball. Havertz made it the whole game. Frustrating not to get the goal, but again, he was part of a team performance that saw Chelsea win and get 3 points. We've got 99 problems and a striker is one, but, if he's on the pitch when we win... I mean, I critiqued him rightly earlier in the video when he didn't get his head on the ball, which is annoying. We saw substitute appearances from Conor Gallagher, understandably, comes on, runs a lot, and that's exactly what you need at the end of a game. It gives you an advantage, so no one can be upset with that. Dennis Zakaria, very much protecting a lead there, changing the midfield, putting on just fresh legs to be running around in front of the back three and trying to mop up. We see a very defensive change of Trevor Chalobah, sort of coming on that right side, basically defending a lead again, which is sort of he is quite the defensive right wing back. Heck, he's a defensive right back. So and we saw Chukwuemeka in the front three, and we saw Madueke come on. So I kind of understand it. Someone that can take the ball and keep it at their feet and sort of dribble forwards, and sort of people were frustrated that Mudryk, I don't know, I guess he was in the squad. I haven't checked if he was in the squad or not, but not seeing him feature. But if you're trying to chase a goal or something, you get him to run into space. But for the moment, I don't think there should be any criticisms that he wasn't brought in this scenario. Obviously, he's a very good player, incredible physique, fitness, speed, and technical ability. He will be utilised. Don't worry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So ultimately good. Yet another clean sheet and not, conceding loads of goals, which is good. And he scored a goal. We need to find a way to score. I mean, maybe this will take pressure off. Just the noise, and I don't mean Potter. If you're still Potter out, fine. To be honest, I wouldn't cry if he was just randomly sacked. I'm at the point where I wouldn't cry. I'd be worried for the team at what we're gonna do. But I've got a lot of the time in football, I have a lot of criticism for people that just randomly shout for the manager out and without context of the scenario. But I totally sympathise with any Chelsea fan that maintain that position. It's not for me to judge anyway. But in terms of the players, they should be able to take this result and go, right, the pressure's off. We have seen some good combinations between us. We do keep the ball out of our own net most of the time against good teams. Let's try and do more in front of the opposition goal, and who knows what can happen against Dortmund. So let me know what you think. I'm certainly going to be positive about this. So drop a like to make me feel happy. You're welcome to subscribe, and should you choose to do so, I recommend you hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Ooh, it's a nice one. See you soon.